The Divine Comedy, the Inferno, by Dante Alighieri. Canto 1. The voyager narrator astray by night in a dark forest, morning, and a sunlit hill. Three beasts that impede his ascent. The encounter with Virgil, who offers his guidance and an alternate path through two of the three realms the voyager must visit. When I journeyed half of our life's way, I found myself within a shadowed forest, for I had lost the path that does not stray. Ah, it is hard to speak of what it was. The savage forest, dense and difficult, which even in recall renews my fear. So bitter, death is hardly more severe, but to retell the good discovered there, I'll also tell the other things I saw. I cannot clearly say how I entered the wood. I was so full of sleep just at the point where I abandoned the true path. When I reached the bottom of the hill, it rose along the boundary of the valley that had harassed my heart with so much fear. I looked on high and saw its shoulders clothed already by the rays of the same planet which serves to lead men straight along all roads. At this my fear was somewhat quieted, for though the night of sorrow I had spent, the lake within my heart felt terror present. And just as he who, with exhausted breath, having escaped from sea to shore, turns back to watch the dangerous waters he has quit, so did my spirit, still fugitive, turn back to look intently at the pass that never has let any man survive. I let my tired body rest a while. Moving again, I tried the lonely slope. My firm foot always was the one below. And almost where the hillside starts to rise, look there, a leopard, very quick and lithe, a leopard covered with a spotted hide. He did not disappear from sight, but stayed. Indeed, he so impeded my ascent that I had often to turn back again. The time was the beginning of the morning. The sun was rising now in fellowship with the same stars that had escorted it when divine love first moved those things of beauty, so that the hour and the gentle season gave me good cause for hopefulness on seeing the beast before me with his speckled skin. But hope was hardly able to prevent the fear I felt when I beheld a lion. His head held high and ravenous with hunger. Even the air around him seemed to shudder. The lion seemed to make his way against me. And then a she-wolf showed herself. She seemed to carry every craving in her leanness. She had already brought despair to many. The very sight of her so weighed me with fearfulness that I abandoned hope of ever climbing up that mountain slope. Even as he who glories while he gains will, when the time has come to tally loss, lament with every thought and turn despondent, so was I when I faced that restless beast, which, even as she stalked me, step by step, had thrust me back to where the sun is speechless. While I retreated down to lower ground, before my eyes there suddenly appeared one who seemed faint because of the long silence. When I saw him in that vast wilderness, "Have pity on me," were the words I cried, "whatever you may be, a shade a man." He answered me,
"Not man. I once was man. Both of my parents came from Lombardy, and both claim Mantua as native city. And I was born, though late, sub Julio, and lived in Rome under the good Augustus, the season of the false and lying gods. I was a poet, and I sang the righteous song of Anchises, who had come from Troy when flames destroyed the pride of the Ilium. But why do you return to wretchedness? Why not climb up the mountain of delight, the origin and cause of every joy?"
"And are you then that Virgil, you the fountain that freely pours so rich a stream of speech?" I answered him with shame upon my brow. "O light and honor of all other poets, may my long study and the intense love that made me search your volume serve me now. You are my master and my author. You, the only one from whom my writing drew the noble style for which I have been honored. You see the beast that made me turn aside. Help me, O famous sage, to stand against her, for she has made my blood and pulses shudder."
"It is another path that you must take,"
he answered when he saw my tearfulness.
"If you would leave this savage wilderness, the beast that is the cause of your outcry allows no man to pass along her track. Her nature is so squalid, so malicious that she can never sate her greedy will, and when she is fed, she is hungrier than ever. She mates with many living souls, and shall yet mate with many more, until the greyhound arrives, inflicting painful death on her. That hound will never feed on land or pewter, but find his fare in wisdom, love, and virtue. His place of birth shall be between two felts. He will restore low-lying Italy, for which the maid Camilla died of wounds, and Nissus, Turnus, and Euryalus. And he will hunt that beast through every city until he thrusts her back again into hell, from which she was first sent above by envy. Therefore, I think and judge it best for you to follow me, and I shall guide you, taking you from this place to an eternal place, where you shall hear the howls of desperation and see the ancient spirits in their pain. Each of them laments his second death. And you shall see these souls who are content within the fire, for they hope to reach, whenever that may be, the blessed people. If you would then ascend as high as these, a soul more worthy than I am to guide you, I'll leave you in her care when I depart, because that emperor who reigns above, since I have been rebellious to his law, would not allow me entry into his city. He governs everywhere, but he rules from there. Oh, happy that he chooses to be there.
And I replied, O poet, by that God whom you had never come to know, I beg you, that I may flee this evil and worse evils, to lead to the place of which you speak, that I may see the gateway of St. Peter, and those whom you describe as sorrowful. Then he set out, and I moved on behind him. The Divine Comedy, by Dante Alighieri. The Inferno, Canto 2. The following evening, invocation to the Muses, the narrator's questioning of his worthiness to visit the deathless world, Virgil's comforting explanation that he has been sent to help Dante by 3 ladies of heaven, the voyager heartened, their setting out. The day was now departing, the dark air released with the living beings of the earth from work and weariness, and I myself alone prepared to undergo the battle both of the journeying and of the pity, which memory, mistaking not, shall show. O Muses, O high genius, help me now. O memory that set down what I saw, here shall your excellence reveal itself. I started. Poet, you who are my guide, see if the force in me is strong enough before you let me face that rugged pass. You say he who fathered Silvius, while he was still corruptible, had journeyed into the deathless world with his live body. For, if the enemy of every evil was courteous to him, considering all he would cause and who and what he was, that does not seem incomprehensible, since in the Empyrean heaven he was chosen to father honored Rome and her empire. And if the truth be told, Rome and her realm were destined to become the sacred place, the seat of the successor of great Peter, and through the journey you ascribe to him, he came to learn of things that were to bring his victory and, too, the papal mantle. Later the chosen vessel traveled there, to bring us back assurance of that faith with which the way to our salvation starts. But why should I go there? Who sanctions it? For I am not Aeneas, am not Paul, nor I nor others think myself so worthy. Therefore, if I consent to start this journey, I fear my venture may be wild and empty. You're wise, you know far more than what I say. And just as he who unwills what he wills, and shifts what he intends to seek new ends so that he's drawn from what he had begun, so was I in the midst of that dark land, because, with all my thinking, I annulled the task I had so quickly undertaken.
If I have understood what you have said,
replied the shade of the great-hearted one,
your soul has been assailed by cowardice, which often weighs so heavily on a man, distracting him from honorable traits, as phantoms frighten beasts when shadows fall. That you may be delivered from this fear, I'll tell you why I came, and what I had heard when I felt compassion for your pain. I was among those souls who are suspended. A lady called to me, so blessed, so lovely that I implored to serve at her command. Her eyes surpassed the splendor of the stars, and she began to speak to me, so gently and so softly, with angelic voice. She said,
O spirit of the courteous Mantuan, whose fame is still a presence in the world, and shall endure as long as the world lasts, my friend, who has not been the friend of fortune, is hindered in his path along that lovely hillside. He has been turned aside by terror. From all that I have heard of him in heaven, he is, I fear, already so astray that I have come to help him much too late. Go now, with your persuasive word, with all that is required to see that he escapes. Bring help to him that I may be consoled, for I am Beatrice who send you on. I come from where I most long to return. Love prompted me, that love which makes me speak. When once again I stand before my lord, then I shall often let him hear your praises.
Now Beatrice was silent. I began. O Lady of Virtue, the sole reason why the human race surpasses all that lies beneath the heaven with the smallest spheres, so welcome is your wish, that even if it were already done, it would seem tardy. All you need to do is let me know your will. But tell me why you have not been more prudent, descending to the center, moving from that spacious place where you long to return.
Because you want to fathom things so deeply, I shall tell you promptly,
she replied.
Why I am not afraid to enter here. One ought to be afraid of nothing other than the things possessed of power to do us harm, but things innocuous need not be feared. God in his graciousness has made me so that this, your misery, cannot touch me. I can withstand the fires flaming here. In heaven there's a gentle lady, one who weeps for the distress toward which I send you, so that stern judgment up above is shattered. And it was she who called upon Lucia, requesting of her. Now your faithful one has need of you, and I commend him to you. Lucia, enemy of every cruelty, arose and made her way to where I was, sitting beside the venerable Rachel. She said, You, Beatrice, true praise of God, why have you not helped him who loves you so that, for your sake, he's left the vulgar crowd? Do you not hear the anguish in his cry? Do you not see the death he wars against upon that river ruthless as the sea? No one within this world has ever been so quick to seek his good or flee his harm as I. When she finished speaking thus, to come below, down from my blessed station, I trusted in your honest utterance, which honors you and those who've listened to you.
When she had finished with her words to me, she turned aside her gleaming, tearful eyes, which only made me hurry all the more. And just as she wished, I came to you. I snatched you from the path of the fierce beast that barred the shortest way of the fair mountain. What is it then? Why do you resist? Why does your heart show so much cowardice? Where are your daring and your openness, as long as there are 3 such blessed women concerned for you within the court of heaven, and my words promise you so great a good?
As little flowers, which the chill of night has bent and huddled, when the white sun strikes, grow straight and open fully on their stems, so did I, too, with my exhausted force. And such warm daring rushed into my heart that I, as one who has been freed, began, O she, compassionate, who has helped me, and you, who courteous obeyed so quickly the true words that she addressed to you, you, with your words, have so disposed my heart to the longing for this journey. I return to what I was at first prepared to do. Now go, a single will fills both of us. You are my guide, my governor, my master. These were my words to him. When he advanced, I entered on the steep and savage path. The Divine Comedy, by Dante Alighieri. The Inferno. Canto 3. The inscription above the gate of hell, the anti-inferno, where the shades of those who lived without praise and without blame now intermingle with the neutral angels. He who made the great refusal, the river Charon, Dante's loss of his senses as the earth trembles. Through me the way into the suffering city, through me the way to the eternal pain, through me the way that runs among the lost, justice urged on my high artificer. My maker was divine authority, the highest wisdom, and the primal love. Before me nothing but eternal things were made, and I endure eternally. Abandon every hope, who enter here. Those words, their aspect was obscure, I read inscribed above a gateway, and I said, Master, their meaning is difficult to me. And he to me, as one who comprehends,
Here one must leave behind all hesitation. Here every cowardice must meet its death, for we have reached the place of which I spoke, where you will see the miserable people, those who have lost the good of the intellect.
And when, with gladness in his face, he placed his hand upon my own, to comfort me, he drew me in among the hidden things. Here sighs and lamentations and loud cries were echoing across the starless air, so that, as soon as I set out, I wept. Strange utterances, horrible pronouncements,
Accents of anger, words of suffering, and voices shrill and faint, and beating hands, all went to make a tumult that will whirl forever through that turbid, timeless air, like sand that eddies when a whirlpool swirls. And I, my head oppressed by horror, said, "Master, what is that I hear? Who are those people so defeated by their pain?" And he to me,
"This miserable way is taken by the sorry souls of those who lived without disgrace and without praise. They now commingle with the coward angels, the company of those who were no rebels nor faithful to their God, but stood apart. The heavens, that their beauty not be lessened, have cast them out, nor will deep hell receive them. Even the wicked cannot glory in them."
And I, "What is it, master, that oppresses these souls, compelling them to wail so loud?" He answered,
"I shall tell you in few words. Those who are here can place no hope in death, and their blind life is so abject that they are envious of every other fate. The world will let no fame of theirs endure. Both justice and compassion must disdain them. Let us not talk of them, but look and pass."
And I, looking more closely, saw a banner that, as it wheeled about, raced on so quick that any respite seemed unsuited to it. Behind that banner trailed so long a file of people, I should never have believed that death could have unmade so many souls. After I had identified a few, I saw and recognized the shade of him who made, through cowardice, the great refusal. At once I understood with certainty. This company contained the cowardly, hateful to God and to his enemies. These wretched ones, who never were alive, went naked and were strung again by horseflies and by wasps that circled them. The insects streaked their faces with their blood, which, mingled with their tears, fell at their feet, where it was gathered up by sickening worms. And then, looking beyond them, I could see a crowd along the bank of a great river, at which I said, "Allow me to know, who are these people, master, and what law has made them seem so eager for the crossing, as I can see despite the feeble light?" And he to me,
"When we have stopped along the melancholy shore of Charon, then all these matters will be plain to you."
At that, with eyes ashamed, downcast, and fearing that what I said had given him offense, I did not speak until we reached the river, and here, advancing toward us, in a boat, an aged man, his hair was white with years, was shouting,
"Woe to you, corrupted souls! Forget your hope of ever seeing heaven. I've come to lead you to the other shore, to the eternal dark, to fire and frost. And you approaching there, you living soul, keep well away from these. They are dead."
But when he saw I made no move to go, he said,
"Another way and other harbors, not here, will bring you passage to your shore. A lighter craft will have to carry you."
My guide then,
"Charon, don't torment yourself. Our passage has been willed above, where one can do what he has willed, and ask no more."
Now silence fell upon the woolly cheeks of Charon,
pilot of the livid marsh, whose eyes were ringed out with wheels of flame. But all those spirits, naked and exhausted, had lost their color,
and they gnashed their teeth as soon as they heard Charon's cruel words.
They execrated God and their own parents and humankind, and then the place and time of their conception, seed, and of their birth. Then they foregathered, huddled in one throng, weeping aloud along the wretched shore, which waits for all who have no fear of God.
The demon Charon, with his eyes like embers,
by signaling to them, has all embark. His oar strikes anyone who stretches out, as in the autumn leaves detach themselves, first one and then the other, till the bough sees all its fallen garments on the ground. Similarly, the evil seed of Adam descended from the shoreline one by one, when signaled, as a falcon, called will come. So do they move across the darkened waters, even before they reach the farther shore. New ranks already gather on this bank.
"My son,"
the gracious master said to me,
"those who have died beneath the wrath of God, all these assemble here from every country, and they are eager for the river crossing, because celestial justice spurs them on. so that their fear is turned into desire. No good soul ever takes its passage here. Therefore, if Charon has complained of you, by now you can be sure what his words mean."
And after this was said, the darkened plain quaked so tremendously, the memory of terror then bathes me in sweat again. A whirlwind bursts out of the tear-drenched earth, a wind that crackled with a blood-red light, a light that overcame all my senses, and like a man whom sleep has seized, I fell. The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. Inferno, Canto 4. Dante's awakening to the first circle, or limbo, inhabited by those who were worthy but lived before Christianity and or without baptism. The welcoming of Virgil and Dante by Homer, Horace, Ovid, Lucan. The catalogue of other great-hearted spirits in the noble castle of limbo. The heavy sleep within my head was smashed by an enormous thunderclap, so that I started up as one whom force awakens. I stood erect and turned my rested eyes from side to side, and I stared steadily to learn what place it was surrounding me. In truth, I found myself upon the brink of an abyss, the melancholy valley containing thundering, unending wailings. That valley, dark and deep and filled with mist, is such that, though I gazed into its pit, I was unable to discern a thing.
"Let us descend into the blind world now,"
the poet, who was deathly pale, began.
"I shall go first, and you will follow behind me."
But I, who'd seen the change in his complexion, said, "How shall I go on if you are frightened, you who have always helped dispel my doubts?" And he to me,
"The anguish of the people whose place is here below has touched my face with the compassion you mistake for fear. Let us go on. The way that waits is long."
So he set out, and so he had me enter on that first circle girdling the abyss. Here, for as much as hearing could discover, there was no outcry louder than the sighs that caused the everlasting air to tremble. The sighs arose from sorrow without torments, out of the crowds, the many multitudes of infants and of women and of men. The kindly master said,
"Do you not ask who are these spirits whom you see before you? I'd have you know before you go ahead. They did not sin, and yet, though they have merit, that's not enough. Because they lacked baptism, the portal of the faith that you embrace. And if they lived before Christianity, they did not worship God in fitting ways. And of such spirits I myself am one. For these defects, and for no other evil, we now are lost and punished just with this. We have no hope, and yet we live in longing."
Great sorrow seized my heart on hearing him, for I had seen some estimable men among the souls suspended in that limbo. "Tell me, my master, tell me, Lord," I then began, because I wanted to be certain of that belief which vanquishes all errors. "Did any ever go, by his own merit or others, from this place toward blessedness?" And he who stood my covert speech replied,
"I was new entered on this state when I beheld a great lord enter here. The crown he wore, a sign of victory. He carried off the shade of our first father, of his son Abel, and the shade of Noah, of Moses the obedient legislator, of Father Abraham, David the king of Israel, his father and his sons, and Rachel, she for whom he worked so long, and many others. And he made them blessed. And I should have you know that before them there were no human souls that have been saved."
We did not stay our steps although he spoke. We still continued onward through the wood, I say, where many spirits thronged. Our paths had not gone far beyond the point where I had slept, where I beheld a fire went out against a hemisphere of shadows. We still were at a little distance from it, but not so far I could not see in part that honorable men possess that place. O you who honor art and science both, who are these souls whose dignity has kept their way of being separate from the rest? And he to me,
The honor of their name, which echoes up above within your life, gains heaven's grace, and that advances them.
Meanwhile there was a voice that I could hear.
Pay honor to the estimable poet. His shadow which had left us now returns.
After that voice was done, when there was silence, I saw 4 giant shades approaching us. In aspect they were neither sad nor joyous. My kindly master then began by saying,
Look well at him who holds that sword in hand, who moves before the other 3 as lord. That shade is Homer, the consummate poet. The other one is Horace, satirist. The third is Ovid, and the last is Lucan. Because each of these spirits shares with me the name called out before by the lone voice, they welcome me, and, doing that, do well.
And so I saw that splendid school assembled, led by the lord of song incomparable, who, like an eagle, soars above the rest. Soon after they had talked a while together, they turned to me, saluting cordially, and having witnessed this, my master smiled. An even greater honor than was mine, for they invited me to join their ranks. I was the 6th among such intellects. So did we move along and toward the light, talking of things about which silence here is just as seemingly as our speech was there. We reached the base of an exalted castle, encircled 7 times by towering walls, defended all round by a fair stream. We forded this as if upon hard ground. I entered 7 portals with these sages. We reached a meadow of green flowering plants. The people here had eyes both grave and slow. Their features carried great authority. They spoke infrequently, with gentle voices. We drew aside to one part of the meadow, an open place both high and filled with light, and we could see all those who were assembled. Facing me there, on the enameled green, great-hearted souls were shown to me, and I still glory in my having witnessed them. I saw Electra, with her many comrades, among whom I knew Hector and Aeneas, and Caesar, in his armor, falcon-eyed. I saw Camilla and Penthesilea, and on the other side I saw King Latinus, who sat beside Lavinia, his daughter. I saw that Brutus who drove Tarquin out, Lucretia, Julia, Marcia, and Cornelia, and, solitary, set apart, Saladin. When I had raised my eyes a little higher, I saw the master of the men who know, seated in philosophical family. There all look up to him, all do him honor. There I beheld both Socrates and Plato, closest to him, in front of all the rest. Democritus, who ascribes the world to chance, Diogenes, Empedocles, and Zeno, and Thales, Anaxagoras, Heraclitus. I saw the good collector of medicinals, Dioscorides, and I saw Orpheus and Tully, Linus, moral Seneca, and Euclid the geometer, and Ptolemy, Hippocrates, and Galen, Avicenna, Avorius of the great commentary. I cannot here describe them all in full, my ample theme impels me onward so. What's told is often less than the event. The company of 6 divides in 2. My knowing guide leads me another way, beyond the quiet, into trembling air, and I have reached a part where no thing gleams. The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. Inferno, Canto 5. The second circle, where the lustful are forever buffeted by violent storm. Minos, the catalogue of carnal sinners, Francesca de Rimini, and her brother-in-law, Paolo Malatesta, Francesca's tale of their love and death, at which Dante faints. So I descended from the first enclosure down to the second circle, that which girdles less space but grief more great, that goads to weeping. There dreadful Minos stands, gnashing his teeth, examining the sins of those who enter. He judges and assigns as his tale twines. I mean that when the spirit born to evil appears before him, it confesses all, and he, the connoisseur of sin, can tell the depth in hell appropriate to it. As many times as Minos wraps his tale around himself, that marks the sinner's level. Always there is a crowd that stands before him. Each soul in turn advances towards that judgment. They speak and hear. Then they are cast below. Arresting his extraordinary task, Minos, as soon as he had seen me, said, "Oh, you who reached this house of suffering, be careful how you enter. Whom you trust, the gate is wide, but do not be deceived." To which my guide replied,
"But why protest? Do not attempt to block his fated path. Our passage has been willed above, where one can do what he has willed, and ask no more."
Now notes of desperation have begun to overtake my hearing. Now I come where mighty lamentation beats against me. I reached a place where every light is muted, which bellows like the sea beneath a tempest when it is battered by opposing winds. The hellish hurricane, which never rests, drives on the spirits with its violence. Wheeling and pounding, it harasses them. When they come up against the ruined slope, then there are cries and wailing and lament. And there they curse the force of the divine. I learn that those who undergo this torment are damned because they've sinned within the flesh, subjecting reason to the rule of lust. And as, in the cold season, starlings' wings bear them along in broad and crowded ranks, so that the blast bear on the guilty spirits. Now here, now there, now down, now up, it drives them. There is no hope that ever comforts them, no hope for rest, and none for lesser pain. And just as cranes in flight will chant their lays, arraying their long file across the air, so did the shades I saw approaching, borne by that assailing wind, lament and moan. So that I asked him, "Master, who are those who suffer punishment in this dark air?"
"The first of these about whose history you want to know,"
my master then told me.
"Once ruled as empress over many nations. Her vice of lust became so customary that she made license illicit in her laws to free her from the scandal she had caused. She is Semiramis, of whom we read that she was Ninus's wife and his successor. She held the land the Sultan now commands. That other spirit killed herself for love, and she betrayed the ashes of Sychaeus. The wanton Cleopatra follows next. See Helen, for whose sake so many years of evil had to pass. See great Achilles, who finally met love in his last battle. See Paris, Tristan."
And he pointed out and named to me more than 1,000 shades departed from our life because of love. No sooner had I heard my teacher name the ancient ladies and the knights than pity seized me, and I was like a man astray. My first words, "Poet, I should willingly speak with those two who go together there, and seem so lightly carried by the wind." And he to me,
"You'll see when they draw closer to us, and then you may appeal to them by that love which impels them. They will come."
No sooner had the wind bent them toward us than I urged on my voice. "O battered souls, if one does not forbid it, speak with us." Each as doves, when summoned by desire, borne forward by their will, move through the air with wings uplifted, still, to their sweet nest. Those spirits left the ranks where Dido suffers, approaching us through the malignant air, so powerful had been my loving cry.
O living being, gracious and benign, who through the darkened air have come to visit our souls that strain the world with blood, if he who rules the universe were friends to us, then we should pray to him to give you peace, for you have pitied our atrocious state. Whatever pleases you to hear and speak will please us, too, to hear and speak with you, now, while the wind is silent in this place. The land where I was born lies on that shore to which the Po, together with the waters that follow it, descend to final rest. Love, that can quickly seize the gentle heart, took hold of him because of the fair body taken from me. How that was done still wounds me. Love that releases no beloved from loving took hold of me so strongly through his beauty that, as you see, it has not left me yet. Love led to the two of us unto one death. Cayena waits for him who took our life.
These words were borne across from them to us. When I had listened to those injured souls, I bent my head and held it low until the poet asked of me,
"What are you thinking?"
When I replied, my words began, Alas, how many gentle thoughts, how deep a longing had led them to the agonizing pass! Then I addressed my speech again to them, and I began, Francesca, your afflictions move me to tears of sorrow and of pity, but tell me, in the time of gentle sighs, with what and in what way did love allow you to recognize your still uncertain longings? And she to me,
There is no greater sorrow than thinking back upon a happy time in misery, and this your teacher knows. Yet, if you long so much to understand the first root of our love, then I shall tell my tale to you as one who weeps and speaks. One day, to pass the time away, we read of Lancelot, how love had overcome him. We were alone, and we suspected nothing. And time again, that reading led our eyes to meet. It made our faces pale, and yet one point alone defeated us. While we had read how the desired smile was kissed by one who was so true a lover, this one, who will never shall be parted from me, while all his body trembled, kissed my mouth. A Gahalat indeed, that book and he who wrote it too. That day we read no more.
And while one spirit said these words to me, the other wept, so that, because of pity, I fainted, as if I had met my death, and then I fell as a dead body falls. The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. Inferno, Canto 6. Dante's awakening to the third circle, where the gluttonous supine are flailed by cold and filthy rain, and tormented by Cerberus. Giacomo and his prophecy concerning Florence, the state of the damned after the resurrection. Upon my mind's reviving, it had closed on hearing the lament of those two kindred, since sorrow had confounded me completely. I see new suffering, new sufferers, surrounding me on every side. Wherever I move or turn about or set my eyes, I am in the third circle, filled with cold, unending, heavy, and accursed rain. Its measure and its kind are never changed. Gross hailstones, water gray with filth and snow, come streaking down across the shadowed air. The earth, as it receives that shower, stinks. Over the souls of those submerged beneath that mess is an outlandish, vicious beast, his three throats barking, dog-like. Cerberus. His eyes are blood-red, greasy black his beard, his belly bulges, and his hands are claws. His talons tear and flay and rend the shades. That downpour makes the sinners howl like dogs. They use one of their sides to screen the other. Those miserable wretches turn and turn. When Cerberus, the great worm, noticed us, he opened wide his mouths, showed us his fangs. There was no part of him that did not twitch. My guide opened his hands to their full span, plucked up some earth, and with his fist filled full, he hurled it straight into those famished jaws. Just as a dog that barks with greedy hunger will then fall quiet when he gnaws his food, intent and straining hard to cram it in. So were the filthy faces of the demon Cerberus transformed, after he stunned the spirits so they wished they were deaf. We walked across the shades on whom there thuds that heavy rain, and set our souls upon their empty images that seemed like persons. And all those spirits lay upon the ground, except for one who sat erect as soon as he caught sight of us in front of him. "O you who are conducted through this hell," he said to me, "recall me if you can, for you, before I was unmade, were made." And I to him, "It is perhaps your anguish that snatches you out of my memory, so that it seems that I have never seen you. But tell me who you are set in such a dismal place, such punishment. If other pains are more, none's more disgusting." And he to me, "Your city, one so full of envy that its sack has always spilled. That city held me in the sunlit life. The name you citizens gave me was Chaco. And for the damning sin of gluttony, As you can see, I languish in the rain. And I, a wretched soul, am not alone, for all of these have this same penalty, for this same sin. And he said nothing more. I answered him, Jocko, your suffering so weights on me that I am forced to weep. But tell me, if you know, what end awaits the citizens of that divided city? Is any just man there? Tell me the reason why it has been assailed by so much schism. And he to me, After long controversy they'll come to blood. The party of the woods will chase the other out with much offence. But then, within 3 suns, they too must fall. At which the other party will prevail, using the power of one who tacks his sails. This party will hold high its head for long and heap great weights upon its enemies, however much they weep indignantly. 2 men are just, but no one listens to them. 3 sparks that set on fire every heart are envy, pride, and avariciousness. With this his words, inciting tears, were done, and I to him, I would learn more from you. I ask you for a gift of further speech. Tegiaio, Farinata, men so worthy, Arrigo, Mosco, Jacopo Rostaciucci, and all the rest whose minds bent toward the good, do tell me where they are, and let me meet them. For my great longing drives me on to learn if heaven sweetens or hell poisons them. And he, They are among the blackest souls. A different sin has dragged them to the bottom. If you descend so low, there you can see them. But you have returned to the sweet world. I pray, recall me to men's memory. I say no more to you. Answer no more. Then his straight gaze grew twisted and awry. He looked at me a while, then bent his head. He fell as low as all his blind companions. And my guide said to me,
He'll rise no more until the blast of the angelic trumpet upon the coming of the hostile judge. Each one shall see his sorry tomb again, and once again take on his flesh and form, and hear what shall resound eternally.
So did we pass across that squalid mixture of shadows and of rain. Our steps slowed down, talking a while about the life to come, at which I said, And after the great sentence, O master, will these torments grow, or else be less, or will they be just as intense? And he to me,
Remember now your science, which says that when a thing has more perfection, so much the greater is its pain or pleasure. Though these accursed sinners shall never attain the true perfection, yet they can expect to be more perfect then than now.
We took the circling way traced by that road. We said much more than I can here recount. We reached the point that marks the downward slope. Here we found Plutus, the great enemy.